Good morning, Nathan. Thank you for being our guest. Could you tell me about your story here?
Yeah, so my name is Nathan Brady. I'm the Marketing and Communications Manager here at the Elora Brewing Company. We're standing inside a 160-year-old limestone building, and we opened our doors in 2015. And as you can see behind us, we have a production brewery in the back. We have a 130-seat restaurant.
So how do you enjoy here?
Yeah, it's a great place to work. It's a really cool town. There's lots of artists in here. There's lots of painters and woodworkers and musicians in town, and a lot of farmers. So it's a really cool cultural hub. We try to make this space a hub for people to come and drink and have a good time.
Okay. So what makes here unique?
What makes our beers unique is we stick to traditional recipes, and they're great
Yes.
for new craft drinkers, but the attention to detail and the
Okay.
quality is great for new craft beer drinkers. And the building and space itself is very unique. It's a 160-year-old limestone building. It used to be a hardware store. It used to be a tea shop at one point. It was built in the 1860s. There was a big fire in town and it burned down in the 60s, and it was rebuilt. So yeah, the physical space, the vibe we create, because we want everyone to feel like it's my brewery when they walk out of here.
Okay.
So it boils down to the service, the quality of the food. We farm, we source local food locally from local farms. We try to use Canadian ingredients when we can in the beer recipes.
Yes.
We're in about 250 restaurants across Ontario.
Oh,
you can find our beers
amazing.
in 150 LCBOs across the province. And one of our flagship beers, the Elora Borealis Pale Ale, is one of the top 50 beers in the LCBO. So yeah, we have a great reputation for craft beer because of the quality and the attention.
What are you making for us today?
Today I'll be making our saffron risotto, which is a vegan dish with squash made three different ways. And also have our smoked pork belly dish with kind of like my take on pork and beans.
Okay, cool. Wow.
Yeah.
So can you show us how to do it?
Yeah, of course. Okay,
Okay.
so I'll start with the risotto. So here I have a vegetable stock that I made from lots of our scraps when we were prepping vegetables for lots of our dishes online. So I boiled all that down in a big pot and reduced down to a nice little stock. And for this dish I used Spanish saffron. Drop this a little pinch in there. It gives it a nice aromatic flavor. Kind of changes the color a little bit. We'll go with a little garlic and shallots. Let that soften up a little bit. I'll add my butternut squash.
Okay.
So a lot of our food here, we actually rotate through 13 different farms in southwestern Ontario.
Oh, okay.
A lot of them are pretty local, which is pretty important to me to stay within the community, supporting local businesses and small farms and whatnot. So this squash I get from a farm just outside of Fergus on Highway 6 called Poppy Fields. So it's a small family-run farm.
Wow, I like the fire.
Yeah. It's a small family-run farm. TJ, he's well known in the community. He was a chef for 10 years previously before he started his farm out on his family property, which he does all organically, all homegrown every year. He's part of the CSA program where people can get weekly food from him, whether they get it delivered to their house or they go to the farm themselves and pick that up. So as I said, in this dish I have three different squash. It's all butternut squash, but I have the honey roasted squash, which we do in the oven. And then I'll take some of that and we keep it nice and chunky. And then the rest of it we do a little puree.
Looks tasty.
So now that it's kind of sticking to the pan, it's still got a nice little movement to it. I'm gonna move on to plate. So you see it should just be able to pour that right on there. Third type of squash on here, I just have some butternut squash ribbons, which I take right off the squash as we're peeling it down. Try to waste as little as possible. Just give it a light torch. Get some nice color on there.
Oh, wow.
Which in turn softens the squash enough for you to be able to eat it.
Oh, okay. So this is raw, and you
Yep.
want to make it soft, right?
It's so thin though that when you heat it up just ever so slightly that it's good to eat. And then I have here some pickled cauliflower, which we use our Lodestar beer, which is a rotating flavor. And just a typical pickling liquid. We also use, to get that pink color, I have...
Oh, it's cauliflower.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
okay.
I have dehydrated purple beets.
Oh, okay.
And it turns into a powder.
Oh, okay.
So we put the powder right in the pickling liquid and it makes it a nice pink color. And then this here we have some microgreens, which is another local farm that we use in Guelph, who also services the Kawartha Lakes area. And these are beet greens.
Beet
so
greens.
the little baby beets as they're coming
I see.
out.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so we got the beet powder in with the pickling liquid, and then got the beet greens on there. It's a nice earthy fall flavor.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
feels like you are in the forest.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this is our vegan butternut squash risotto.
Okay, very nice.
Yeah. So for our next dish, I'm gonna do our smoked pork belly. So we have a brine that we take the pork belly in for 4 hours, and 4 days, and then we pull that out. We give it a good rinse, and then we put it on the smoker for 4 hours.
Oh, okay.
So this pork belly comes in whole from one of our farms, Linton Pasture Pork, which is in Walton, Ontario. The man who runs that, his name is Jeffrey, and he traveled over to Europe to learn more about sustainable farming and raising these pigs from farrow to when they're ready for process. And he does that all out in Walton. There's very nice animals. He has some heritage breeds porks there, and yeah, so we bring that in, and then once it comes off the smoker, I take the skin off, and let the skin sit aside. I'll portion it all down into the size that we want for service, and then I take the skin, and then we scrape all the fat off of it. We boil it, and then I'll dry it off, and I'll dehydrate it for about an hour or two. It just depends on, every animal is different, right? So sometimes the times vary. And then I make pork rinds or pork crackling out of the skin. So from the baked beans, so when I trim the belly down, we have lots of scrap meat because I square it off, and then I'll take the scrap meat and I'll chop it all up, and we'll cook that, and I put that right in the beans. So no part of this meat goes to waste. Like I said, we got pork in the beans, pork goes on top, and then we use the skin as kind of a garnish as a pork crackling.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, it's well used.
Yeah. Try not to waste
Very
anything
nice.
whatsoever. So these are my baked beans. So I start the process with onions and roasted red peppers, and all that, the bacon scraps that I was talking about, I throw in there, and that as that fat melts, it acts as the oil to cook the onions and the roasted red peppers.
Okay.
And then we add our bourbon, which is honey Jim Beam. And then as that reduces down, I'll start adding all my other ingredients. I have a brown sugar dry rub spice that I've been using for about 10 years or so, which I learned from one of my old chefs up in the Collingwood area. So here actually we have a very nice honeycomb that we also get from a company called Thurston Honeybee Company.
Oh, okay.
It's run by a husband and wife, and Dan has multiple farms, honeycomb hives all over Ontario, lots in Guelph. Take my beans.
It looks very rich.
Yeah, nice fall. I take a lot of things and I want people when they eat my food to almost trigger a memory, like
Yes.
if you go somewhere and you're like, oh my goodness, that smells like grandma's house or something, right?
It's like a
Yeah, I like to trigger those. I like to feel those feelings when I eat food, so I want to try and give that to my customers as well. So I'm just going to pull this out here. I'm just going to take that, place that right on top. Oh yeah, she's nice. And then, so this is our house-made beer honey sauce, which is, we use one of our stouts for this. So it's, think similar to a honey garlic sauce, but we use our beer when we make it, and we mix it in with the honey we get from Dan Thurston.
Oh, okay.
So put a little of that on top. And then we're going to take our honeycomb, get a nice little piece out of here. And put that right on top, just like that.
Wow.
Then we're going to take some of our crackling here. Place that right on there as well. And I don't know if I talked about our greens. Jacob Goldfarb from Gold Farm Canada, he does all of our microgreens. And he's based in Guelph. So these are scarlet frills, which is a form of mustard. The other ones I previously used on there are the beets, as I said. And then I'm just going to place that right in there. And that's it.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Wow.
We have our vegan saffron butternut squash risotto, which has pickled cauliflower, 3 different types of squash processes here. So we have the honey roasted squash, nice and chunky. During the cooking process, I put in the butternut squash puree, and then I take these little squash ribbons and peel them nice and thin, and we blow torch them so they're just soft enough to eat and still have a nice little crunch in there.
Cool.
With our pickled cauliflower and our beet greens.
Yeah, I like the color. So bright.
Yeah.
How about the other one?
This is our smoked pork belly with our bourbon baked beans. And again, there's 3 different types of bacon in here. We have the trimmings of the pork belly, goes right in the cooking process of the baked beans. The pork belly itself on top, and the pork crackling from the skin right there on top as garnish.
Okay, it looks very savory.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice and hearty,
Tasty,
warm.
Hearty. Yeah, yeah. Feels,
Warm you up on a nice
yeah,
cold
yeah,
day.
It's good when you have it in the winter time. So what kind of beer will go with the dish?
With the risotto, we have the Three Fields Lager, which is a nice, light, crisp beer that would go nice with the lightness of the squash dish. And the Roasty Toasty is a nice stout that would definitely pair well with the smoked pork belly there, nice and hearty.
Yeah, the color looks good. Goes well with different dishes. Good pick. I feel I'm walking in the garden. I'm in the in the fall forest, you know, kind of like you see the pumpkin everywhere, you know.
Oh yeah.
It's so seasonal.
Nice
And it's
fall
so
colors.
tasty. It's nutritious because you have those soup right inside, so it's so nutritious. Very rich. I feel a little bit chocolatey,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So good.
A little sweet.
Yeah, a little sweet.
Probably want-
Okay, I think everybody should come to check it out here. I enjoy here very much.
Thank you for coming, Angela.
Thank you for being our guest.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.
Life tastes good.
Life tastes good.